My name is Jane Miller. I am 35 years old, working at an IT company and married to David for 4 years. Our home, a beautiful house filled with cherished memories, was inherited from my father. He always said, "This house is a place for family memories. After I'm gone, I want you to live here happily with your spouse." Those words echoed in my mind often, a bittersweet reminder of the love he left behind when cancer took him from us 5 years ago. After we got married, David and I moved into the house, starting our new life together. We renovated the space, turning it into a modern yet comforting haven. A year later, we were blessed with our daughter, Mary, who filled the house with laughter and joy. She's now 2 years old, and at the height of her rebellious yet adorable phase. Life felt perfect, or so I thought. One evening, after a long day at work, I stepped into the house to hear cheerful voices coming from the living room. As I opened the door, there she was, Alyssa, my sister-in-law. She had a glass of wine in her hand and was deep in conversation with David. "Alyssa?" I said, surprised. "What brings you here?" "Oh, Jane. Long time no see," she replied with an exaggerated smile. I've moved out of my husband's house. It's a long story. I'll be staying here for a while." The words hit me like a storm. She'd just declared she was moving in without even consulting me. My discomfort must have shown because David quickly jumped in. "Alyssa's going through a tough time, Jane. She needs our support." Support? I wanted to scream, but I held my tongue and instead turned to prepare dinner. As I worked, Mary played alone in the corner, her little face lighting up when I glanced her way. Meanwhile, David and Alyssa laughed and talked, oblivious to our daughter's loneliness. "David," I finally said, unable to hold back anymore, "can you spend some time with Mary while I finish cooking?" He sighed loudly. "She's fine, Jane. She's playing." "No," I said firmly. "She needs you. Please." Reluctantly, he got up, muttering under his breath, and went to sit with Mary. Alyssa laughed. "Wow, my brother's so whipped." Her words stung, but I pretended not to hear them. That night, as I put Mary to bed, I felt the weight of frustration pressing down on me. But things only got worse. Alyssa began showing up more frequently, staying late, and sometimes even overnight. Each time, she grew bolder, making herself at home as if she owned the place. My protests fell on deaf ears, with David brushing them aside with dismissive remarks. Then came the breaking point. One day, I arrived home to find Alyssa's belongings scattered across our guest room and spilling into our bedroom. "What is this?" I demanded. David looked up nonchalantly. "Oh, didn't I tell you? Alyssa's lease ended, and she's moving in with us permanently." "Permanently?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "Yeah," he said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "She's family, Jane. Don't be selfish." Selfish? I couldn't believe his audacity. "This is my house," I said firmly. "It was my father's house, left to me. You don't get to make decisions like this." David's face darkened. "Your house?" "No, Jane. I bought this house. It's mine." The room spun. How could he lie so blatantly? Alyssa smirked, enjoying the spectacle, and my blood boiled. "If you don't like it," David continued, "you and Mary can leave." Those words hung in the air, sharp and cutting. For the first time, I saw him for what he truly was, a man who had no respect for me or the legacy of my family. That night, I couldn't sleep. David and Alyssa laughed loudly in the living room, their voices echoing through the house like a cruel taunt. I lay on Mary's tiny blanket on the floor, my body aching, and my heart heavier than ever. The next morning, I awoke to find David and Alyssa moving my belongings out of our bedroom. "What are you doing?" I demanded. David sneered, making room for Alyssa. "Don't complain." Anger surged through me. "You have no right. This house is mine, and you know it." "Prove it," he snapped. I didn't hesitate. I stormed to the drawer where I kept my father's will and the house's deed. Pulling out the documents, I laid them before David and his sister. "Here," I said, my voice cold. "This is the proof. This house belongs to me. You've been living under my roof, and yet you have the nerve to disrespect me?" David's face turned pale, and Alyssa's smirk vanished. These must be fake, he stammered. If you doubt it, I said, you're welcome to check with the Registry of Deeds, but you won't, because you know the truth. For the first time, David was silent. Alyssa looked furious, her eyes darting between me and the documents. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was David's parents. They walked in, their faces stern. Jane, his mother said, why are you making trouble for David? He bought this house, didn't he? I took a deep breath and explained everything, showing them the proof. Slowly, understanding dawned on their faces, followed by shame. David, his father said, his voice low, is this true? David hung his head, unable to meet their eyes. You lied to us? His mother said, tears in her eyes. In the end, David had no choice but to admit the truth. His parents apologized profusely, but it wasn't enough to erase the betrayal I felt. This marriage is over, I said, my voice steady. You've disrespected me and my father's memory. Leave this house immediately. David begged for forgiveness, but it was too late. The divorce papers were signed within days, and he moved out, taking his lies and selfishness with him. Alyssa, too, was forced to leave, her smugness replaced with bitter defeat. Now, it's just Mary and me in the house, the space feeling both emptier and freer. The memories of my father bring me comfort, and I know he would be proud of me for standing my ground. Together, Mary and I are building a new life, one filled with love, honesty, and the strength to face whatever comes our way. To keep moving forward, I decided to redecorate the house, giving it a fresh start. With every brush stroke of paint and rearranged piece of furniture, I felt a sense of reclaiming the space, turning it back into a sanctuary for Mary and me. Our days are now filled with laughter as I watch her explore the house, each corner a new adventure for her young, curious mind. In my quiet moments, I've started journaling, reflecting on my journey. Writing has become a therapeutic outlet for me, helping to process the pain and rediscover the strength within. I've also joined a support group for single parents. Sharing my story with others who understand my struggles has been both humbling and empowering. Financially, I've been more stable than expected. With David out of the picture, I've been able to allocate my resources wisely. I'm saving for Mary's education and have even started a small college fund for her. Knowing I can provide for her future fills me with a sense of accomplishment. One afternoon, as Mary and I played in the garden, she looked up at me and asked, "Mommy, is Daddy coming back?" Her innocent question caught me off guard, but I knelt down to her level and held her tiny hands. "No, sweetheart," I said gently. "Daddy's not coming back, but we have each other. And as long as we're together, we'll be just fine." She smiled, her eyes sparkling with trust. "Okay, Mommy, I love you." "I love you too, Mary, more than anything." With each passing day, I've realized that the life I'm building with Mary is one of resilience and hope. The trials we faced have only made us stronger, and the bond we share is unbreakable. Looking back, I no longer see the pain. I see the growth, the lessons, and the unwavering love of a mother and her child.